Colorado Supreme Court rules that Donald Trump is not eligible for the state's presidential ballot. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. The Colorado Supreme Court yesterday ruled that Donald Trump, the former U.S. president, be removed from the state's 2024 ballot on the basis that he is not eligible to be a presidential candidate because of the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban. In a historic 4-3 ruling, the decision will be placed on hold pending appeal until January 4th. When it eventually goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, they will ultimately settle the matter nationally. The Trump campaign, in response to the Colorado decision, said it would swiftly file an appeal and describe the ruling as a completely flawed decision. In November, a Colorado judge concluded that Trump engaged in an insurrection on January 6 of 2021 when his supporters stormed the Capitol and disrupted the congressional process to certify Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 presidential election. This has now opened a Pandora box where other states might now join in and ban all insurrectionists from being on their ballot as well. And of course, you know that there are many of them. A man who reportedly shot at his girlfriend during a domestic dispute in Anchovy, St. James, is in custody facing charges of attempted murder and illegal possession of a firearm. The incident occurred on Sunday sometime after 9 p.m. in Anchovy Meadows in St. James. And it's reported that the 34-year-old complainant, who was a child for the suspect, went to his home and an argument developed between the two. It's alleged that the man used a firearm to hit the woman in the face, causing serious injuries. And it's further reported that he fired a round in her direction, but the bullet missed the target. The woman later filed a report with the police, and the suspect was intercepted in his vehicle and taken into custody. However, the firearm was not found. Meanwhile, the Portland police have launched a search for a group of men who robbed 2 American tourists in the parish on the weekend. The foreign nationals, both students of Alaska, were reportedly robbed at the Folly Ruins attraction on Sunday. And it's reported that the Americans who were vacationing in Portland went to Winifred Beach in Fairy Hill. Sometime later, they boarded a motor vehicle operating as a taxi destined to Port Antonio. And it's reported that the driver took the visitors to Folly Ruins, where they were approached by 3 masked men armed with knives who robbed them of cash in the US and Jamaican currency. They took their cellular phones and debit cards and credit cards as well. Good news, they were not physically harmed. Workers at the world-famous Dunn's River Falls yesterday staged a peaceful protest to highlight their discontent with the Urban Development Corporation, which is the UDC managers of the St. Ann Base attraction. The workers are upset that the UDC has failed to respond to appeals to intervene in what they say is a hostile working environment. And the protest did not disrupt operations at the attraction as workers continue to perform their duties. A chef who was convicted of unauthorized possession of ammunition under the new Firearms Act was last Thursday sentenced to 20 years and 10 months in prison. Delroy Fletcher alias Pencil was given the lengthy custodial sentence when he appeared in the Gun Court Division of the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. Fletcher, a chef from Tex Lane in Rose Gardens in Kingston, was charged after 35 rounds of ammunition were allegedly found by the police at his home. Prosecutors led evidence that on November 10th of 2022, law enforcers from the Kingston Central Police conducted a raid at Fletcher's house where the illegal items were found. He was subsequently taken into custody and charged under the new Firearms Act, which was implemented the same month Fletcher was booked for the offense. Meanwhile, a section of Red Hills Road in St. Andrew remains tense following a double killing at 104 Lane shortly after midnight. The deceased are Shavana Palmer, otherwise called Shavy, and Corey Hunter. They were employed to a food delivery service. And it's reported that about 12:30 a.m., the men finished working and were sitting in the vicinity of a shop close to Mr. Palmer's home when a car drove up. Men alighted brandishing high-powered rifles and a handgun. They shot Palmer multiple times in the head and Mr. Hunter all over his body. Mr. Hunter ran but collapsed meters from the scene. Both men were pronounced dead at hospital, and investigators theorized that Mr. Palmer was the alleged target. A taxi driver was shot and killed while driving in front of a primary school in Pell River District in Hanover on Monday night. The dead man has been identified as 44-year-old Otis Wright, otherwise called Bella, from Saxham District in the parish. It's reported at about 9:15 p.m., Wright, who operates his taxi from Green Island to Kingsvale, was passing the Pell River Primary School when gunmen fired several shots into his vehicle. Police on patrol discovered the vehicle with Wright slumped over the steering wheel with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his head. Detectives, upon processing the scene, found 4 9mm spent casings, and no motive has yet been established for this attack. Onto sports, Phil Salt blasted his second consecutive century to help England to their best T20 international total in a crushing 75-run triumph against the West Indies at the Brian Lara Stadium in Trinidad on Tuesday, tying the 5-match series at 2 games apiece. Salt's 119, the highest score by an England man's batter in the format, came off 57 balls and featured 10 sixes as the Tories concluded with a total of 267 for 3. Joss Butler smashed 55 off 29 balls, with Liam Livingston adding an unbeaten 54 off 21 balls as well. And during their thrilling chase attempt, the West Indies maintained their imposing run rate, scoring 87 runs in the first 6 overs, but frequent wickets cost them, and they were all out for 192. The series is level at 2-2, with the decider taking place at the same venue tomorrow. Netball Sunshine Girls goal scorer Shanice Beckford has signed a deal with Perth-based West Coast Fever in the Australian Suncorp Super League for the 2024 season. The news was met with enthusiasm from Simon Forbes, who is the first vice president of Netball Jamaica. Beckford, affectionately called Mighty Midget for her tenacity on the court and her stature, has been recognized by Forbes as one of the best goal attacks in the world. Forbes said Beckford's move to Australia adds a crucial element to her already impressive resume. And this move to the West Coast Fever will see Beckford playing alongside another Jamaican netball standout, Katie Ann Dehaney, who spent the last 2 seasons with the Sunshine Coast Lightning. The Fever also boasts 5-time league MVP Janelle Fowler, making it a very formidable team. And don't forget that the best news and sports takes place on this station. If you ever missed the news on this station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. That's news and sports on your favorite radio station. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.